Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. 4 months after the regional institutions were put in place, they are still dormant, and the officials are sending distress calls to the Yaoundé administration, indicating that they have been doing nothing because the resources and financial resources as well, material and financial resources that were supposed to be transmitted to them for them to begin working, especially in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country, with the aim of restoring peace and normalcy in those 2 regions hit by socio-political tensions for more than 4 years, is not happening, and the situation is becoming disturbing. You will listen to one of the regional officials in this edition of the 6 p.m. news. Will also talk about COVID-19 in Africa and the world, with India recording millions of cases and the COVID-19 situation there worsening by the day. Two children die in disturbing circumstances in the Republic of Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And Equinoxe Television, when investigating, finding out what actually happened to the 2 children, were said to have died of food poisoning. Details in this report.
They are mourning the death of Alexandra and Noah, 3 years and 5 years old respectively, that occurred Tuesday, April 27th at their residence in Bonamusadi, Douala 5 subdivision. The minors from the same family and children of 2 sisters allegedly died after consuming pears they ate alongside 3 of their sisters and the grandmother.
Yesterday, we were there for quarter. We don't hear say.
We were in the quarter when the news came up. They died after eating pears. We are still uncertain if it is the pears they ate that killed them or not. We await results of findings from the police.
On a pu donc kill them. On a waited. On no still. We wait enquête where police there for douane. Mommy said don't chop you down. All them don't chop you down.
Noah, 5 years old, is said to have died at home, while Alexandra, 3 years old, died in the hospital.
Vers 16 heures, ma fille m'appelle, maman, viens voir. Viens voir ce que Noé fait. J'arrive ici, je trouve Noé couché là-bas. 10 minutes après, on amène sa petite soeur rangée là.
Their corpses have been deposited at the Daido District Hospital mortuary. Three other children are under intense medical care. 2 who are twins at the Douala Lakentini Hospital and 1 at the Adlochem Hospital.
Le problème de l'avocat, c'est moi qui vends l'avocat.
The grandmother in grief admits she sells the pears and ate some with the children, her husband and other family members who were at home.
Moi-même, j'ai mangé une quantité. Le même avocat, j'ai envoyé derrière qu'on donne à leur grand-père.
According to family sources, they await results of investigation opened by the police, who arrived and later departed with the remaining pears.
There is equally weeping in New Bell neighborhood here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, and the Cameroonians weeping there are complaining that they have been deprived of their source of livelihood. Most of them are roadside vendors who have been chased away from the area they have been doing business by the council in efforts to fight against urban disorders. Manjik and Gabriel has more.
A woman Woman collapses after her roadside store was destroyed by workers of the Douala 2 Council. It was one of the immediate effects as several stores positioned along the road were destroyed at the New Bell neighborhood this Thursday. The destruction that was well planned by officials of the Douala 2 Council saw some resistance from the business persons who felt cheated and say the country doesn't care about them. We have been here since. This is where we search for what our families will eat. They have marked it to sell to people for 100,000 francs CFA. Which Cameroonian business person at this level will have that sum of money? The main problem is that they want us to buy. The stores that were destroyed were on the road. Expecting that the new spaces will be away, the same council has marked spaces on the same road to be sold at 100,000 francs CFA per square. We love our country and struggle hard with what we have, but the government is doing all to make us fall. If it's not bike riders, it's taxi men or business persons. We are being treated as their slaves. Many business persons say the government is enslaving the population instead of protecting them. To tell you the truth, we are being enslaved in our country. If no one is seeing it, they should open their eyes well. Attempt made by Equinoxe television crew to meet with the Douala 2 Council officials failed as they refused granting interviews. Though some stores were destroyed, not too far from the destruction zone, other persons were seen selling on the ground.
The business persons in the New Bell Douala 2 subdivision are lamenting over what they consider as violation of their rights in the council's efforts to restore sanity and, of course, to fight against urban disorder. And other persons also crying out and condemning the violation of rights in Cameroon as civil society leaders who say that government and other authorities, other stakeholders have systematically put in place a system and efforts to fight and destroy the liberty of the press. Press freedom in Cameroon, according to them, is stifled, and this is what they are condemning. They were speaking today here in Douala ahead of World Press Freedom Day, May 3rd, 2021. Charles Ekome reports.
Of the World Press Freedom Day, scheduled on May 3rd, 2021. Civil society leaders invited men and women of the press to discuss pertinent issues on the promotion and respect of human rights and the defense of fundamental freedom of expression. This was discussed in a meeting which took place at the headquarters of non-governmental organization Servitas in Douala and was presided by its executive director, Chantal Kambiwa.
We are so grateful to have the journalists today, those women and men who every day fight for our rights because they inform the population, educate us through media. We have our project in collaboration with the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon, Redempvina, promoted women rights. So we are pleased to them to continue their work, their job, so that tomorrow will be better than today.
This meeting comes at a point in time when men and women of the press are sometimes tortured and battered in Cameroon just for practicing the norms of their profession, whereas there are laws which protect the rights of press men and women, as cited by Dr. Louison Esumba, Professor of Law at the University of Douala. Our constitution is clear on the fundamental respect of human rights and the laws governing the dissemination of information. We have laws stipulated in 1990 on press freedom and even in international organizations like the United Nations. We have laws on the strict respect of human rights. There is even an international pact ratified in 1966 on this issue. There are many of these laws which govern the activities of the press. According to Servitas Cameroon, Cameroon, the theme of this meeting is the collaboration of the press on the promotion of respect for human rights. A meeting which equally threw light on the rights of women and children, as well as physically disabled persons.
Administrative and health officials in the Kumba Meme Division, southwest region of Cameroon, urged the population, the people of Kumba, to make themselves available for anti-COVID-19 vaccination. They were speaking today during the launching of the vaccination exercise in Kumba at a time when the health district of Kumba is recording at least 200 persons tested positive for coronavirus. Immaculate Fogwe reports.
Over 200 persons have been tested positive with the coronavirus in Kumba in the Meme Division Southwest region. The information was revealed by the district medical officer, Dr. Manuel Lenya, during the launching of the COVID-19 vaccination campaign at the Kumba District Hospital.
Imagine we have done 5,000 tests. For whatever reason, it's supposed to be more than that. But for ordinary 5,000 tests that we have done, we have more than 200 positive cases here in Kumba. Our population here in Kumba is more than 400,000, But we have 200 cases in Kumba town alone. I'm not talking of outside, town alone. It means that it is very, very rare.
The senior divisional officer for Meme Division, the district medical officer, the divisional officer for Kumba 1 subdivision, and the director of the Kumba hospital, while taking their own dose of the vaccine, encouraged the population of Kumba to get themselves vaccinated.
Okay, no, I am okay. Feeling fine. After this exercise, which I think is saving life of myself and my beloved one. And let me also say this is the opportunity to advise the Meme population to follow, because it's not only for themselves, but also to protect their beloved one. It is necessary.
I prefer it anyway. I don't have any particular reasons, but for me, from everything I've heard, to me, AstraZeneca is safe. There was a time when there were so much controversies about it, but the research went into it for about 2 months, and the controversies were all dispersed. So to me, for now, it's safe for me. That's why I decided to take AstraZeneca.
At the end of the vaccination exercise, the director of the Kumba District Hospital promised to ensure that doctors, nurses, and frontline workers get themselves vaccinated.
Now on to something else, to talk about one of our lead stories. There are complaints rising, especially from the English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon, that have been at war, in a crisis for more than 4 years now, and it was expected that the putting in place of the regional institutions, the putting in place of the House of Chiefs and the regional assemblies in those 2 regions was going to hasten the move, that's a return to peace and normalcy in the 2 English-speaking regions of the country. But this seems not to be coming forth 4 months after those institutions were put in place. Nothing is happening there. The officials have been installed, but they are not working. The institutions are not operational, and they are complaining that this is because the Yaoundé administration has not enabled them to get to work. Now take a listen to one of the regional officials, the president of the Southwest House of Chiefs, Chief Atem Ebako. He spoke to the Rijato.
We are still expecting to know what competencies have been transferred to the regional assembly. We are still to get a budget that has been voted by the regional assembly. We are still to get the organigram with respect to the personnel that will be called up to run the process. So we are still waiting and waiting. So if you ask me, as you have done, how is the process going on. I would say it's exceedingly slow. Communicate to the public that very little is happening, and they should just be as patient as we are at the level until we would get now the final mark for us to start.
Just before you go, the ministry says there are big news in the days and months ahead, so we remain optimistic.
Oh, that is their usual talk from Yaoundé. You get that from people who don't have the dossiers in their own hand. You say, how soon? How many days is that? How many weeks is that? How many months is that? It's already 4 months we've been sitting there with that same tautology of very soon.
The same tautology of very soon highlighted there by the Southwest House of Chiefs President is witnessed in the West region and elsewhere across the country. The same complaints of regional institutions put in place, not operational, not going operational, because the Yaoundé administration is yet to deploy the material and financial means for the officials to get to work. For me, Armstrong reports on the situation in the West region.
4 months after the putting in place of the regional councils within the context of the decentralization process in Cameroon, nothing has been seen or heard of regional councillors on the field. While the people are yet to feel their impact as stipulated by the 1996 constitution in Cameroon, the actors are also surprisingly yet to be told or know what exactly to do. Teach regional councillors what to do on the field is the objective of this team of experts from the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development in Yaoundé to the West Regional Chieftain of Bafoussam. Meeting with members of the West Regional Council, the expert schooled councillors on how to approach, analyze and respond to different problems in their different localities of the West region. Speaking to the press in the course of the event, the president of the West Regional Council, Dr. Hilaire Foka, regretted that 4 months after their existence, resources and competencies are yet to be effectively given to them. Apart from the absence of the transfer of adequate finances to run affairs of the West region, the president said no concrete logistics were also transferred to them. He, however, revealed that they have been receiving trainings on what to do, and the recent is the second in a row.
Transporters plying the Douala N'Djamena and Douala Bangui highways or corridors have stationed their trucks for an undetermined duration. They have gone out of duty simply because of the insecurity reigning there, notably with the unstable socio-political and security situation in neighboring Chad and also in the Central African Republic, where rebels are operating and orchestrating insecurity. Details in this report by Equinoxe.
Truck drivers plying the Douala N'Djamena and Douala Bangui corridors are on a forceful holiday with an undetermined duration as a result of rising insecurity posed by rebels in Chad and the Central African Republic lately. All loaded trucks are bound to be parked here till the security situation in Chad and the Central African Republic ameliorates. Until then, plying the Douala Bangui and Douala N'Djamena corridors remains perilous.
Nous sommes appesantis également sur la situation assez préoccupante au Tchad.
During a consultation meeting deemed special, grouping transporters from Garoua, Maroua and Gaoundéré, members of the transporters trade unions promised to stay in contact with officials, transporters in Chad and Bangui to determine the security situation so they can resume activities void of fear.
Nous sommes en train de travailler en collaboration avec les chancelleries.
Grouping of these transporters was also to discuss unfair competition they encounter with unprofessionals who have infiltrated, destroying activities in this transport sector.
La difficulté serait avec les transitaires et les bailleurs de fret, mais il est curieux de réaliser que c'est plutôt certains transporteurs véreux qui cherchent à dissiper cette activité.
Fraud in the sector was also raised, which, according to the trade unionists, kills the activities.
Et beaucoup de sociétés sont en train de fermer.
Evasion from duty tax, they note, has reduced revenue collected to keep the transport sector sound.
Gathered today in order to improve the activity, in order to respect the normal fair transport that had been accepted. We have been negotiating with the Minister of Commerce, with the Minister of Transport, with the taxation offices, and we are now glad that we are capable, we are able now.
For the good of all, it was proposed that each transporter voluntarily pays a duty fee of 15,000 francs.
We have been putting in place a follow-up committee that is in charge of delivery of documents previous to loading. So when transporters respect that, we are sure we will then achieve our goal by respecting the rate and the normal price which has been fixed for N'Djamena from Douala, which is 3,300,000 francs, from Gaoundé to N'Djamena, which is 1.7 million, and from Douala to Bangui, which is 3,350,000 francs.
The proposed sum, voted by almost all the transporters present, is expected to permit flexible running of activities on the Douala-Chad and the Douala-Bangui corridors, thereby boosting the transport sector.
Back to coronavirus, the World Health Organization Africa region says till now 47 out of the 54 African countries have been affected by coronavirus, and globally the World Health Organization figures indicate that the African continent is now counting 3,255,820 persons tested positive for coronavirus, and 82,113 have died. Earlier this month, the Center for Disease Control indicated that Africa is counting 4,545,936 cases, 120,442 deaths so far. South Africa is topping the chart of COVID-19 on the continent with 5,148 deaths out of 1,574,471 persons tested positive, followed by Egypt with 13,049 deaths out of 222,523 cases, and then Tunisia, which has recorded 300,342 of its citizens tested positive for coronavirus, and 10,304 deaths so far. Now to India, where the situation has been worsening, and health officials in that country are blaming the situation to inadequate measures taken by government to prevent the spread of new variants. Details in this report by Immaculate Fogwe.
The COVID-19 virus is taking an ugly turn in India as the country tops the global daily infection record. More than 344,600 cases and more than 2,600 deaths have been registered within the past 4 days. Civil hospitals are running out of beds and oxygen due to the spike in cases.
They don't have oxygen, they don't have doctors, people are dying out here. We were in the parking lot for an hour, now my sister has just died.
Civil emergency rooms in Delhi, the capital city, are constantly moving out dead bodies in order to make way for those who are in a critical condition. Health experts in India say the healthcare system has reached its limit and could collapse if action is not taken immediately. Crematoriums, which normally receive 10 to 15 dead bodies in a day, are now receiving hundreds of dead bodies. Top scientists in India blame the recent surge on a new variant and the non-respect of anti-COVID-19 measures.
WHO is doing everything we can, providing critical equipment and supplies, including thousands of oxygen concentrators, prefabricated mobile field hospitals, and laboratory supplies.
The cost of oxygen cylinders have skyrocketed to about 300 to 500,000. That is about 4 times the normal price. Several countries have dispatched COVID-19 relief materials, including oxygen cylinders and regulators, in order to support the population.
And despite the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact, the tourism, notably hotel industry in Angola, is growing. Courtesy Euronews.
Close to the capital, Luanda, a haven awaits. The Mangaij Golf Resort, set in beautiful surroundings, is regarded as a leader in high-end Angolan hospitality.
Mangaij is special because we're the only one in Angola to have a golf course. We have football, we have horses, horse riding, we have a rugby field, we have hotels, a restaurant that has a beautiful view, the Kwanza River is nice.
The pandemic has challenged hotels around the world, but here at the Mangaij Eco Resort, with strict safety protocols in place, business has kept on coming. Those enjoying staycations, those who want to absorb the great outdoors.
It is excellent because there are activities and places where children can have fun. It is green areas. I like to be in contact with nature.
Angola's luxury hospitality sector is still in its infancy, but inspired by other African countries like Botswana, South Africa and Kenya, it has big ambitions for the future.
Mangaij presents one of the very best places to visit out of Rwanda. If Angola can develop more facilities like this, I think tourism as a sector can grow. And Kenya is ready to partner with Angola, to support as much as we could. Because we, as African countries, we believe in shared prosperity, growing together.
We have to grow, we have to take chances, we have to invest, we have to train our people. We are on the right track. Mangaij is really on the right track.
In Luanda, the luxury Epic Sana is a leading light. It mainly attracts business guests who continue to come here during the pandemic, reassured by the hotel's Sana Safe policy, which puts their health at its heart.
Our staff is very well aware that they need to make sure that social distancing is a must. They need to make sure they wear their mask. They need to make sure that they are following the rules that are in place. So that has been helping us a lot, and obviously it has led to the results of us engaging more businesses because we're a very safe hotel during this time.
COVID has changed a lot of things. Staying in an hotel is a real experience, so you want to be sure that the hotel you are staying understand all the things they have to do for you to stay in a safe environment, and Epic Sana has been very good about that.
For staff here, it's an exciting time to be working in this area of hospitality.
The more we attract tourism, the more the level of hospitality will grow. There will be more hotel chains. This will increase the flow of people visiting our country. I also hope to one day contribute to the development of the country with the experience that I have had here at the Sana chain.
The green shoots of growth are showing already. This is the brand new Intercontinental Hotel in Luanda, the first internationally branded 5-star hotel. Inspired by the contours of a diamond, it starts taking reservations from September.
Talking Point is up next. Thanks for staying with us in Talking Points. We're receiving a political analyst, Dr. Nick Oyam. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
All right, we'll talk about the complaints coming in from the regions, not only the two English-speaking regions, in a 4-year-long conflict that was expected to be solved in one way or the other by the putting in place of the regional institutions, the regional assembly, and of course the House of Chiefs. And now this is not happening, and this complaint is also coming from the West region and elsewhere in the country 4 months after the putting in place of those institutions and the installation of the officials. Nothing is happening there. What's your take on that?
Well, the people who are complaining but probably are not aware of the problem. If you are aware of the problem, then you will not complain. Let me explain. The putting in place of those decentralized units was as a response to the Anglophone problem coming out of the major national dialogue, which was not a successful venture. So now we are having the decentralization or whatever, the special status.
Others, however, think that it was a successful venture because the institutions are being put in place, the recommendations are being implemented and all of that.
Great, sorry for barging into you. Just because you have put in place institutions and put people there doesn't mean that is the right solution. We have, we have a problem, and we are not facing the problem squarely, and we are skirting around it, and then we put in place things and we expect those things to work, and when they are failing, we are looking around for a scapegoat. No, the bottom line is there's a problem, but you didn't address yourself to the problem. And as far as I'm concerned, those people who are complaining of the from in the councils or whatever they are, even if they are working, their work will not really solve the problem. As they are doing now, we are losing nothing. In fact, their impact is next to zero, whether they are working or not, until we actually go in there and define things properly and put things in place. But when you are talking about decentralization in East Cameroon, it's a plus for them because they have never seen anything better than that, and therefore they are looking forward to something. And if you give them one biscuit, it's as good. If you give them 10, they will just say thank you very much. But for people from West Cameroon, they expect something better. They have a yardstick against which they measure things, and what we are seeing on the ground doesn't answer their questions. Technically, if we were to just step back a little bit and ask ourselves, what are the major problems of Cameroon as of now? What are the major problems? On your fingertips, you will say the Anglophone problem is problem number one. The problem number two would be youth problems. I'm talking of the whole country now. And then problem number three, we have a battered economy, and so many other things. Their lack of logistics, left forward center, and so the decentralization thing doesn't come anywhere near to solving or addressing any of these problems. So it's off target.
But the problem at this point, Dr. Nick, is that the institutions have been put in place and they are not operational. The regional assemblies, the Northwest and the Southwest regions and its organs, the House of Representatives, the Chamber of Representatives, and the House of Chiefs, the officials say they are there and nothing is coming from Yaoundé except computers. This is what was highlighted by the president of the House of Chiefs in the Southwest region. Computers programmed in French language, and nothing is happening. Why is nothing happening? Why should government put in place institutions and not give them the means to function?
If you had been in Cameroon and known that we build secondary schools and those secondary schools are not equipped, if you have been observant, you will realize that up in Marwa over there, they have inexistent classrooms for 60 years. And therefore, if you just go out there in Boya and you start complaining about you have nothing to work with in 4 months, then you are probably not thinking right. If there's anything to happen, after all, we were promised a ring road in the Northwest in 2010, and until now we are still to see it. And therefore, if we are going by the same yardstick, they should not be in a hurry. And in reality, as I was saying, what is the weight of the House of Chiefs, or the weight of that of those councillors and their president? What weight is it? What is their weight as far as solving problems in Northwest and Southwest is concerned? And their weight is next to zero, because technically, even the way they were elected and put in place, if you were to genuinely ask all people from the Northwest and Southwest, they will not pass the vote. So, in fact, we have to go in there with time and straighten things. And I'm happy because, you know, like I've said before, we are expecting another dialogue that is coming. It will not be a major national dialogue, because that one where they brought all of Cameroon together and confused the whole picture. It will be a dialogue that is geared towards solving the Anglophone problem. So it will be the Anglophones and the government talking. Okay, and the issue on the table will be the form of state. And when that is properly done and the form of state is properly done, what you see now on the field, all of that will be dissolved. Then new people will be voted in place accordingly with everybody's consent. And then you see things move. For now, they were just put in there to fulfill the law. Okay, so that the law should be seen as being fulfilled. Otherwise, whether they are working or not working is not useful.
What is happening now is in sharp contrast to what we've been hearing from the authorities in charge of decentralization.
That's politics.
And even other authorities.
No, that's politics.
They've been talking about effective and accelerated decentralization.
That's
but
politics.
Things seem not to be accelerating on the ground.
I said that's politics. It's hot air, it's politics. And so we should look forward to a new dialogue, reconciliation, and unity in the nation. But
that will not happen without political will. People,
no, there's
other persons like you have been saying that there is need for the will for things to be done right. Now, the president of the House of Chiefs of the Southwest Region, Chief Atem Ebako, seems to be attributing what is happening to lack of political will on the part of those who are expected to execute the will of the President of the Republic.
No, it's not lack of political will, because if you were attentive, you will realize that there's no money to be running all those structures. And even if they were to be run, they are not useful now. So it would just be putting money into a basket until you do the right thing. And you see, the president has got so much on his table. You know, a little money comes in for COVID, and people who are supposed to be doing the right thing, they steal all the money. So even if you were to give the money, you know, for the decentralization, whatever, it will just be stolen and taken home. And you know, because we are not used to doing anything effectively in Cameroon. Like, you know, I keep asking this beautiful question. I say, Babila, give me 2 areas in which we excel in Cameroon, 2 positive areas in which we show international excellence in doing business in Cameroon. I mean, if you can name 2, then you can as well just extrapolate from there and say that these people screaming about trying to function in those regions, that if they were given money they will work. No, the whole thing is just so washy-washy, and we need to learn to do it properly. Otherwise, nothing will work. Even if you gave them a lot of money, nothing will still work, because nothing is really built on solid ground. It's very sandy, it's very porous, and besides, let me say this. What you're calling regional whatever council is just a parallel structure to the governor and his delegates. It's a parallel structure, and we are not seeing who is doing what and so on. And most of the members in that thing have been appointed. But if we were to step back again and do things in a way that works, and actually redefine the form of state in the way that it works, you will not have the governor and his état-major and then these other people. You will have only one, and that one would be a regional governor or whatever, and regional duos or whatever, and regional whatever that are elected by the people, not these ones that are appointed. So after the form of state is defined, probably we'll get to that point, and then we'll have to dissolve all that you are saying now and restructure something in the country that works, where those people on the seat are accountable to the citizens and the people, not to somebody who is very far. Because, I mean, imagine the COVID, because there's a lot of theft and graft and everything. Something like COVID money comes and people just swindle and put it in their pockets. That's what they've been doing with budgets and so on, and that's why you see the country spinning around in circles, and the president cannot be fooled anymore.
Dr. Nick, what should be done now at this point in time?
Now, those people who are complaining, watch my lips. You have not yet. If you are on a holiday or you are thinking you had something, you got deceived. Forget it. If you have some coffee farm, go and be working on your coffee farm. If you've been rearing pigs, just continue with it. And whatever you are doing that was gainful, just do it. If you wanted to get married, marry your wife and begin to make more children, forget about this thing. When the time comes, might be after a couple of years, if the money comes, you'll be invited. But what is going to happen is that there's going to be a dialogue, there's going to be reconciliation, there's going to be unity. And after that dialogue, you will all be sent home and the rightful people will take over.
Are you suggesting, or you are...
I'm only telling them, I'm reading in the crystal ball, I'm not begging them, I'm not telling them. That's how it's going to be.
Dr. Nick Ngoyem, education is political analyst. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. Equinoxe Thanks.